Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, hello and thank you for tuning in. This video was recorded to present to you the findings related to a risk assessment recently conducted in the City of Renton. The risk will be explained along with mitigation strategies and a return on investment in addressing the risk. To begin, I'd like to speak about the concept of community risk reduction, CRR. At its core, CRR is a process to identify and prioritize local risks, followed by the integrated and strategic investment of resources to reduce their occurrences and impact. This process is achieved by following a basic 6-step approach. Step 1, identify the risk. Step 2, prioritize the risk. Step 3, develop strategies and tactics to mitigate the risk. Step 4, prepare the CRR plan. Step 5, implement the CRR plan. And Step 6, monitor, evaluate, and modify the plan. To follow the first step, the fire department identifies risks by looking at the types of incidents, call volume, location, and causes. When prioritizing risks, the identified risks must be viewed in terms of severity, frequency, and duration. It is recommended that one develops an effective approach to develop strategies and tactics by subscribing to the 5 E's of prevention. The 5 E's are education, engineering, enforcement, economic investments, incentives, and emergency response, as shown here. Preparing the CRR plan consists of receiving input from firefighters, working with the fire officer, and other public safety personnel, as well as suggestions from community groups and people outside of the fire department. When implementation of the plan is to occur, these 6 strategies are key. They are identify and allocate needed resources, prepare a timeline with milestones, assign responsibilities, communicate goals and expectations, monitor progress, and finally, to make adjustments as necessary. Lastly, after implementation, the plan must be monitored, evaluated, and modified as needed. This is achieved via progress reports by those in charge of the plan. By constructing and initiating detailed CRR plans, the fire department can be prepared to properly respond to an incident or potentially prevent its occurrence from occurring entirely. The types of data used to identify the risk within this plan were both obtained digitally and through personal accounts. The last 10 years of emergency callouts to the area were collected and reviewed. Interviews of battalion chiefs who were listed as those in command were conducted to better understand the tactics used during the response. The most recent United States Census Bureau report for the community was examined to gain a sense of how many residents are in harm's way within the risk area. Additionally, the fire marshal and I conducted our own site survey of the area. The risk assessment that was conducted pertains to a wildland urban interface area that has a long-standing history of fire activity. During the summer months, the area circled on the photo becomes dry, making it very easy for fire to ignite, as seen here. Additionally, access to the area is somewhat limited. The area is hilly and steep. There are high transmission power lines that run over the top of the area. 2 large apartment complexes as well as townhomes come into contact with the area. There's also many single-family homes in the immediate area. Also, on the west end of the circle is a Bonneville Power Administration substation. Furthermore, there are very few hydrants within the area. I personally have investigated 3 separate fires in the area since my arrival in 2015. Prior to my arrival, there were other fires investigated as well. Mostly the cause was determined to be due to human activity, such as people using fireworks, fires at a homeless encampment nearby, and the occasional stolen vehicle fire. The estimated economical cost to the community and the department potentially sustained by the occurrence of a large-scale fire within this area could be in the millions of dollars. With a number of residential occupancies near the area, it is possible for death or injuries to occur. Families that are several miles away could also be negatively impacted if the high-voltage power transmission lines overhead or the power substation were to be damaged. Even if homes were not destroyed, it is possible that families nearby would be forced to evacuate due to the smoke and heat produced by a large-scale fire. Fire department personnel would be required to be on scene for an extended period of time to ensure complete extinguishment. Firefighters would be requested to respond from other agencies. These calls could lead to firefighters being called in while off duty. It is possible that other areas of the city or multiple cities would incur delays in response time. A dollar amount for this type of loss cannot be estimated at this time. I believe education is the best way to mitigate future fire occurrences within the area. If residents who live within the immediate area can be taught about historical fire events, the causes, and prevention measures, it is possible to reduce the number of fires within this area. Seeking out partnerships with local property managers, homeowners association boards would be key for such an educational effort to begin and be sustained. There could be handouts created that are written in the various language of the residents living within the area. These handouts would be easy to read, understand, and follow in order to prevent a fire. Another step that would be taken is to conduct detailed site surveys of the area by first due firefighters. Maps will be developed that indicate access points, property boundaries, and hydrant locations. Other actions that would be taken would be to reach out to those living in the homeless encampments. Speaking to them about the fire danger in the area could lead to those using fire to be more cautious or perhaps even stop engaging in fire activity as well. The cost of the fire department would be limited at first. Much of the work would take place in the office during normal business hours. This work would include development of the educational materials, organizing partnerships, and site surveys. The department, however, would need additional funding in order to print the handouts, maps, and to conduct educational programs by way of community events within the surrounding residential areas. The best time to conduct such events would be in the early evening hours when residents are most likely to be at home. These events would require overtime to be paid to several members of the Office of the Fire Marshal Division. I would estimate these costs to be $100,000 total, $50,000 from the fire department's budget and $50,000 from matching grants. However, this cost pales in comparison to the potential of millions of dollars in losses that the community would suffer if steps are not taken to mitigate the occurrence of fire within the area described. It's been my pleasure to speak to you concerning the risk assessment. Please feel free to contact me if you have any further questions about this information. Thank you.